If your graduation rates are 30% and 70% of the students who start with you are dropping out, and that was the reality at Georgia State a little over a decade ago, you have to stand up and say, that's not acceptable. If you don't say it, if the president doesn't say it, if I don't say it in my role, then who is? And instead, what most institutions do is try to cover, try to highlight all the great things they're doing. But unless you admit the things that are really going poorly, you're not going to come up with the diagnosis that will lead to change.
Hey guys. My parents didn't have all the money in the world. We didn't have a whole bunch of things, but they were the ones to make the sacrifices to provide for us.
I'm not really into scary movies, but that one.
Everything changed when Khalif was coming along. It's like, okay, I gotta now think of my son and what's going to be best for him. And we knew that one very important part of rearing a kid is education.
And this is Khalif with his sister. This is a famous one I like too. He's 1 year old, and he's already talking, making contacts, wheeling and dealing. Khalif is a very studious young man, very smart. At Shelly High School, I think he finished second in his class. And I always knew that he was going to be a brilliant young man. He's going to be somebody someday.
My mom would always say, Khalif, if you get good grades, and college is going to be coming after you. But I didn't really get that many scholarships. So that was kind of like a limiting factor. I got into Georgia State, and I didn't think the money was there for me to go to school outside of Georgia. So it wasn't the hardest decision once I got accepted, to decide where to go.
Early in my career, I came to a conclusion that if we admit a student, they should graduate. The responsibility in graduation is a shared responsibility between the university and the student. But to really move the needle, I think you need to actually redesign the system.
It's a really important job that you've been assigned. The advisors at Georgia State are so instrumental to the success of our students. A little over a decade ago, the graduation rates at Georgia State were around 30%, which is way too low by any standard. And African American males were graduating from Georgia State at an 18% clip. Talk about a wasted opportunity. The easy explanation for why these students aren't graduating is, they're poor, or they come from a disadvantaged background, or they're first generation. And that's just not acceptable. And probably the most important thing about Georgia State's story is to show that it's not only not acceptable, but it's not the truth.
I'm not gonna do something that's not gonna make me get out in 4 years. 4 years is the norm. I'm making these grades, I'm doing what I need to do. Why would I not graduate in 4 years?
The reason that half the students who start college in America don't graduate is not because they're not capable, but because of all the stuff in life that happens that trips them up, all the barriers that pop up for them, financial or otherwise.
Freshman year, my car broke down. And so money I got from work was to pay that. And then a lot of times I had to use my credit card to get things. One semester, my parents just didn't have the money to give me any supplies to start the semester. I had to do everything on a credit card, and it was like $300, and I couldn't really pay it back. I tried to chisel away at it, but I had credit card debt I had to pay back.
It was very clear to me early on here at Georgia State that these are students who are walking a very thin line between two trajectories in life. One mistake can be the difference between them dropping out with debt and nothing to show for it, or graduating. So we did an analysis of our advising offices. We found 800 different things that Georgia State students were doing that correlated in a statistically significant way to dropout rates. The student had signed up for the wrong course, the student was not attending their class, the student had underperformed in a prerequisite class, and nobody said or did anything. That's the standard way that we do things across higher education, and it's a disaster for the students. And if we ask why we have achievement gaps, Here's part of the answer. Because which students are really going to be ill-served by the fact that these problems are occurring and nobody's speaking up? So there are these alerts that go off by the thousands, and we have protocols in place so that those advisors reach out to the students within 48 hours with some kind of intervention. When we launched this system, we hired more advisors so that we would have the capacity to deal with all of these alerts that were going off in a timely way.
Hey, Vincent, how's it going?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Come on, have a seat. How's it going?
Good.
A lot of people think that first generation students really have a lot of federal aid. Well, there's not a lot of federal aid. There's aid out there, but these students still come away with some need. So think of ways that you can kind of reduce your costs.
Exactly, yeah.
We have Res Life, where you can work in Res Life and then have your housing covered. Mm-hmm. There are other things that come up. The housing, the meal plans, things of that nature.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to figure those things out. My parents are there for me, but like financially, I'm on my own, man. Like if I didn't have money for rent, I don't have money for rent. There's no, hey, Dad, can you slide me $400 this month? No, they can't do that. They just literally can't.
That's my best advice, is to stay connected, stay involved, stay engaged.
Yeah.
Continue to be Khalif. It's okay to struggle. Just remember you belong. Wherever you land, that's where you belong.
Sometimes I'll go to work, go to class, then go to work in the evening. From that assignment. And one semester, I was literally going to bed every single day at 3 a.m. I was falling asleep in class. Work was killing me. I felt like I could never catch my breath.
Khalif was putting a lot of pressure on himself, trying to work extra jobs to save money because he knew that tuition payment was coming.
It just was like so expensive. I could never afford it. But I need to continue my studies to graduate on time.
So we started a system which requires the student to do nothing, at least initially. We look for students who have genuine unmet need, who have relatively low balances, and who are on path to graduation. And what we do is just put the money in their account. Just by giving, in most cases, under $1,000 at just the right moment and using the data to target the right students, you actually change the life of an individual.
The grant helped him so that he can really go to school comfortably and focus on studies. And that really kind of changed everything.
Just a lot of incredible things that have happened through Georgia State that have got me to where I am. And I'm so, so, so excited to be graduating.
Well, like many of you, I'm a first-generation college graduate. I instinctively knew that hard work, curiosity, drive, and solid moral values would take me on an incredible journey.
Khalif Robinson.
What we need to do in higher education is find models that work for students who aren't currently being served. Be willing to try things that haven't been tried before, and be responsible for the kind of students they enroll.
We all need to look at ourselves and say, are we admitting the students who are prepared academically for our institutions? And when we admit them, do we have a university that is going to set them up for success? And I think that's what we need to do all across higher education in this country.
Congratulations. So proud of our son. He did it.